every single MonsterVerse fan is feeling the exact same amount of dread from San Diego Comic-Con. So as we know, San Diego Comic-Con just happened, and a lot of people were expecting some news, a hint, something, even a trailer, heaven forbid, from Legendary in relation to Comic-Con. Only to find out the only information we got related to Supernova was that comics were going to be the tie-in to this film. Now, I know I have my doubts about this film, but I can guarantee you a lot of people are not okay with this. I think a trailer, at least explaining something that happens in the meantime, leading up to the film, would have been nice. At least we got something. A lot of people thought the Godzilla and Kong ride that was happening in tandem with San Diego Comic-Con would have at least something related to Supernova happening. If anything, it was just a stat padding session for Kong more than anything else. And what really happened during that ride doesn't really relate, except for a few small things that will be shown within Supernova, but nothing too drastic overall. Specifically, how Space Godzilla joins the fray within the MonsterVerse. Not a single peep whatsoever. But now people looking back on it understand why that's not the case, as it doesn't come out till, what, mid 2027, so it feels like it's too early for something like that to happen. But let's address the elephant in the room. The fact that the comics are the one thing, as it stands right now, because we have nothing else, that are going to tie into Supernova, are the one vital thing right now that will tie into Supernova. I don't know how I feel about that, because a lot of the things that happen in the comics aren't really referenced in the films, like, ever. And if it's shown in the comics, it's shown in the movies, but described in a completely different way to help justify the movie not referencing the comics in any way, shape, or form. And that is the issue that I have when it comes to the comics being the leading role in introducing Space Godzilla or all the other shit that's going to happen within Supernova. Personally, I think that's kind of a cop-out because not everyone reads the comics, nor can they afford them. Similar to a lot of these main issue characters, like for Kong and Godzilla, like Muto Prime, Camazotz, and other big instances that happen in these comics, they're not shown or referenced at all in the films. And they play a big part in the character development for these characters like Kong and Godzilla for these upcoming films, but the way the films are structured shows that it doesn't rely on the comics to push the narrative for said film. So that makes me wonder, is this like a new marketing ploy to get people to have to read the comic to understand the next film? Because some people wouldn't know there's a comic out to begin with. They don't keep up with the San Diego Comic-Con stuff. They don't keep up with Legendary like that. They just see the film and watch it, and if it has to tie into the comics, starting from a point where the comics ended, people are gonna be like, what the hell is this? Like, how did we get from the new empire to here out of nowhere? That is, unless they pull the exact same thing they've been doing within the other comics, mentioning a few things here and there, and then giving Supernova its own thing, introducing Space Godzilla, so on and so forth. Now, you all already know how I feel about Supernova. I don't need to say anything right now because it should be pretty obvious, but hopefully there's something that happens in between now and the release of this movie that actually gives a good insight related to Space Godzilla. Something that's at least believable as to why he's there to begin with, and not solely relying on the comics to do that for them, because that's very contentious and I know a lot of people are going to be against it, me included. I think the comics are cool, but to have that be the reliant source for all of that, that just doesn't sit well with me. But I want to hear from you all. What are your thoughts about the comics being the tie-in to Supernova, and do you think there should be something else visually to really bring that all together for the next film when it comes out?